Where does power come from? Power comes from how fast the club head is moving when it strikes the ball and how directly we hit the ball. We want to make sure the club is traveling toward our target and hitting the ball with the club face square to our target and hitting the center of the club. Let's assume for this conversation that we are hitting the center of the club. If we hit off center of the club, that's going to diminish the power because the club is going to give a little bit and we're not going to hit it quite as far. Let's assume we hit the middle of the club. Then power comes purely by how fast the club head is moving. So we need to know what moves the club head. What moves the club head? Well, if our swing works much like an axle and a wheel effect, the body being the axle and the club head being the outside of the wheel, we want a wide wheel, but we have two levers inside the wheel. So we have an axle, a lever at the shoulder, and a lever at the wrist, generating the club head speed. So we have three factors that move the club head. One is the turning of the body. The faster I can turn my body, the faster the club is going to move. The next is the movement of the arm or the hinge at the shoulder. The faster I can move my arms, the faster the club head is going to move. And finally, the unhinging of the wrist. Those three power sources are the major components to power. However, if they're not done in the right timing, we're not going to maximize our power. We have three additional power sources that accelerate those and put us in a position to maximize our power in the hitting zone with all three of those components. And they are the transition torques. When I turn back and start to move forward with my hips will pull my chest and arm and club and begin to accelerate that. The second part is when my chest starts to turn forward, is accelerated by my hip, it loads the lever across my shoulder or stretches those muscles. As that loads, that grabs the club and loads the wrist. So I have three stretches that in sequence will go hip, shoulder, arm, wrist, snapping the club head and maximizing the speed of all three of our major components, the turning, the arms, and the wrist, all at the right time. And finally, we want to make sure that we're using our turn first to make the swing work, so we maximize our arc width. If we don't do that, we're going to diminish our power to some degree and make it difficult to maximize the use of the torque and the speed of the three components: the turn, the arms, and the wrists. So what we're going to do is help you train speed in all three of those areas and in the transition torque so you can maximize your power and hit the ball as far as you're capable of.